All right, welcome everybody. This is Mr. Warner. If you're watching this video, that means you're probably using a Casio, and here's some instructions on how to do this. So here again, this is our note packet. If you need to grab it from my room, you're welcome to, or you can print it out. We'll do 4 lessons, and we'll review and we'll take the test on the 21st or 22nd. Also, please notice that this is the dead day for this unit. Please make sure you turn in every missing assignment before you take the test. If you miss the test or whatever, you must turn in all your stuff on Canvas, okay? One other thing you may notice is that the 18th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, or whatever it's called, okay, and we don't have school that day. So this 19th and 20th, that's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the 21st, 22nd, that's a Thursday, Friday. So we're just skipping the Wednesday online day, and we're doing it in person, okay? All right, so go to your notes if you would, and we're gonna go over this stuff. This is written for TIs, since most of the students have TIs. And we're going to go over this using a Casio. In a lot of ways, Casio is easier, and not as many buttons you have to press, but it's definitely different than the TI. So first it says is to reset the settings of your calculator by typing blah, 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 but here it's going to be different. You're going to click on menu right there, and then if you go to the very bottom, so scroll to the bottom using your cursor here, there's something called Systems, and you'll press Enter, and then we're going to press F5, that is to reset, and then we're going to click on either you can do setup data or main memory. The main reason why we want to reset is so that if there's any things that have been changed, that will make it difficult to graph or something like that. So if you ever run into issues and you're like, this isn't working how I thought it would be, then just reset your data or your memory. So here I'm just going to click F2, my memory, and then it says press F1, and it says done. So it says press exit, so exit's right here. Okay, and I'll push exit again and again. And I actually want to go back to my menu. Okay, so next we want to graph. So one of your choices in your menu is graph. It's right here at the very top, okay? I think you can either press 3 since that's the choice, or you can just scroll or press over till you get it and push execute. This is where you're going to plug in all your equations. So this one, it says graph the function y equals x squared plus 3x minus, oh, I guess you can't see that. Let me move that right there. Okay, so that's the equation we want to graph. And how we're going to do that is whenever we have an x or a variable, we're going to push this button on the right side. So it has x comma theta comma t. This is your variable button. And whenever you push it, it'll always do an x. Doesn't really matter what variable you're using. Okay, so we'll do x squared. Squared is right here. And then it says plus 3x, so I'll use that variable button again, minus 12. Okay, you push execute, and we'll go to the next line, but we're only going to graph one equation at this point, and then we're going to want to draw it. So over here on the very top or bottom right, it says draw, and that's talking about this F6 button. So we'll push on that, and you'll notice that part of your graph, you can't see the vertex, you can't see that y-intercept. So we need to change our window so that we can see that. All right, there's different ways that you can do that. One is this called V window. So if we click on that, it tells you the possible x values and y values on your graph or your window, on your window. So if we look at this window, if I can go back to that, exit, okay, it goes basically from -6-ish to +6, and the y's go up to about 3 and -3. So I'm going to go back, clicking this, and that's what we see here. If we want to change it, we need to look lower. So we're going to go to scroll down to Y minimum, and it's at -3, but maybe we should try negative. So I'll push a negative, and then maybe I'll do 15. I don't know what this will look like. I'll push exit, or execute, I mean, and then I will press exit, and I'll press draw again. Okay, so now you can see your vertex, you can see your Y-intercept, and both of your X-intercepts. And you're going to need to do that every equation to make sure you can see all of those key features, those 4 critical key features. So your X-intercepts, your Y-intercept, your vertex. Okay, that should cover it. Okay, so it says to make a little sketch. I guess that should have been done that before. So here's where we do our window. Again, the instructions on here probably don't help a whole lot, so just follow along. And I have like a sheet on Canvas and in class that has like steps on how to do this all. So make sure you look on that on Canvas. I'll have that available for you, or you can grab it from my room. All right, next it says to find the vertex. Okay, so all of these things that they're asking for, like the Y-intercept, vertex, a value at a x = 7, and also your X-intercepts, all of this is in a place called gsolve. So if you look at the top here, it has gsolve, it's yellow. So to get to anything that's yellow, you need to push shift, the yellow button, and then click on F5. Oops, I messed that up, I guess. There we go. And when you do that, it will show your F1s through 6 will change up here in your screen. So here we have root. Those are your X-intercepts. Okay. On a TI, it's called zeros. So if we want to find the vertex, we don't want the roots. We want either the maximum or the minimum. So if we look at your graph, well, you can't see the vertex there now, but it is the minimum. So to find that, you're just going to click on F3. That's your minimum, and that is your vertex. So if you write it as an ordered pair, for your vertex here would be -1.5, comma, -14.25. Okay, so we found our vertex. Next it says to find the Y-intercepts. Okay, since I can't see the vertex, I'm just going to change my window one more time so that I can see it a little better. Okay, so now you need to push exit, or you could go back to your menu and to get back where you need to be. Okay, so now we can see it a little better. So again, to find that vertex, we press Shift F5, gives us the gsolve, and we're going to choose the minimum since we have a minimum. If it was concave down, well, then we'd be wanting to find the maximum. So minimum, and it just gives it for you. You don't have to do anything else. Next, they ask for the Y-intercept. So we'll go back to Shift gsolve, and that's one of our choices right here is Y-intercept. So we'll press F4, and that's your Y-intercept. So it's 0, -12. Next, they want us to find the Y value of a function where x = 7. So to do this, what we'll do, let me double check real quick. We'll go back to gsolve. Yeah, so to do this, what you're going to do is instead of doing Shift F5, we're going to do Shift F1, which will give us trace. And with trace, you can plug in any value and it will give you a Y. So here we have 7. I'll just press 7. It will do X7. Press execute. Oops. Give me an error, probably because my window isn't in at 7. So that's one of the things you need to watch too. So like if I were to go to 7, obviously it's going to be outside of this window. So let's try, and I'm going to go to zoom out. So zoom is the F2, and I'm going to press out, and I'll press execute. Okay, and let's see if it works now. It's still 7's probably outside of there, but let's see. So if I go to trace, second trace, oops, there we go, and I push 7, and now it works. So sometimes if the window is too small or it's too far away from where it needs to be, it'll give you an error. So that's something you need to keep that in mind. So here our value at 7 is 58. Okay. All right, and then not last, but next we have is our Yintercepts. So, sorry, my light just went off. Oh, sorry. Time out. All right, there we go. Sorry, it's easier. I think you have a light. You can see the screen a little better, maybe. Okay, so next we want to find the Yintercepts. Again, it's going to be Shift G solve. You can't see that yet. Okay, and one of your choices is root. So your roots are the same as the word, I think it kind of says here, things like Yintercepts, your roots, solutions, or zeros. TI uses the word zeros. Casio's, at least for this one, calls it roots. So again, we went Shift G solve, and this is what we see, and we can click on roots, and it will automatically give you one of them, and then to find the other, you just press over, and you can just go back and forth, left, right, those two solutions. So here would write, one of them would be negative 5.27 comma 0, and the other would be, I guess you probably can't see that, other was 2.27 comma 0. I think it says rounds to the hundreds place. Okay, so that's how you find that. And then last two things. First off, sometimes they want us to fill in a table. So if you have an X value and you want to find the Y value, well, we could go back and do trace. And we could plug in things like, I guess, -2. So -2, enter. And you could plug in -14, which is right there. Okay, sorry. Okay, or another way you can do, actually I'm not sure, I've never done this before, I think right here where it says G to T, that goes from a graph to a table. So we push Shift, and it has that choice, G to T. Oops. Actually I'm not sure. I will have to look into this. Let's see, table, maybe let's see what happens if we click on table. Click on table, there we go. Okay, so how you're gonna do this, I've never done this before, but until today. So if you're back on your menu and it was that graph, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to table, which is right here. You'll press execute, and it will give you a table of stuff. Here it starts at 1. I think if you push, looks like you can't change that. Actually, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into this some more. If you have questions, I can make another video. But I'd probably just say best choice here is just to go back to your menu, go to graph, and graph it, and then just use trace. So here we could plug in -2, and it gives you -14. You could do -1. I mean, it doesn't take much more time to do that. 0 is -12. Okay, so you'll just do that, I guess, until I figure that out. Okay, and last but not least is number 9. So it says graph another function, y equals x plus 1. So I'm going to go back to my graph, or where I put in my graph. I don't want to get rid of the one that's already there. We want to do another one. So here we'll do x plus 1. I'll push execute, and then I'll click draw. And now you'll see two lines. One is a quadratic, one's a linear. And we want to see where they intersect. So you can see that there's two intersections. And we're going to go back to Shift and do G-solve. And then I think if right there it says ISCT, that's in intersect. So I'll click on that, and it will give you one of them right there. So one of your your intersections, one will be negative 4.74, comma, negative 3.74. So that's one intersection. And then we can just push over to find the other one. So there's two. So 2.74, comma, 3.74. All right. So if you need to anytime, you're welcome to pause, go back. Hopefully you have this out when you do this. That'll help. So just again, if we want to graph something, if you want to go back to where you do like addition and whatever, this is right here. So you execute, this is where you do like 5 times 6 or whatever, okay? So we go to menu, we go to graph, we execute. This is where we plug in our equations. If you want to get rid of one, we just click on, I think, delete, and it will ask you, are you sure you want to delete that? So delete that. And then when you're ready, you'll push, when you type it all in, remember use this as your X value, or your X's, and push execute, or graph, and we'll have it there. Again, you may need to change your window. Another thing that's kind of cool is if you go Shift, Zoom, sometimes there's like auto, sometimes it gives you crazy stuff like that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but I would just be cautious on doing that. You can always go back by going, what was it? Previous, maybe? Yeah. So there's lots of different things you can do for zooming. You can zoom out, zoom in. You can just change your window to make it fit. You can try something bigger, smaller, whatever to make that work. And then again, if you want to find a specific value like a point or the y-intercept, you'll just click on trace and you'll type in whatever you want. So like when x equals 0, that's your y-intercept, or when x is 5, then you get a value there, okay, stuff like that. And then everything else is in Shift F5, which gives you the G-solve, where you have your roots, which is your solutions, or x-intercepts. This is your vertex ones, depending if it's a maximum or a minimum. Y-intercept, intersections, which is different than intersects, okay? And that's pretty much what you'll need. I think all the other stuff is like calculus kind of stuff. So, all right, well, good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. See ya.